Welcome to Storytelling. This week's guest is a powerhouse of creativity. She's a writer, director, actor, speaker, and creative consultant with over 20 years of experience in the entertainment industry. She has worked with major studios such as CBS, HBO, Showtime, and Warner Brothers, and graced the screen in hit shows such as CSI Miami, Weeds, and American Horror Story, and starred in award-winning independent films. She is a visionary storyteller dedicated to shaping narratives that challenge, inspire, and transform. Currently, she is in pre-production on a film she is writing and directing set in Italy. And she is also developing Brownsville Redemption, a TV series that she created that explores deep themes of equity, access, and resilience. Beyond film and television, she partners with brands and companies as a creative consultant, helping them craft compelling narratives that connect, engage, and amplifies their impact. Passionate about guiding others to unlock their true purpose, she's on a mission to help people break barriers, expand their vision, and step boldly into a life of meaning and fulfilment. Please welcome Shani Pride. Hello, Shani, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you for having me.
Shani, how do you define creativity and why do you believe it's essential in both life and business?
Such a great question. I would define creativity as transformative. There are many, many, many powerful attributes that come along with being creative. And I don't just mean being creative in the traditional sense of, like myself, I'm a writer, I'm a director, I was an actor for many, many years. But being creative, all of us, every single person on this earth has creativity that is pulsing through their veins. And creativity can be used as a tool for transformation in a plethora of ways. But I feel like in work and in business, creativity is essential, and in personal life, essential to stepping into your purpose, essential to finding your path in life, and essential to, I feel, becoming your fullest potential.
So you've just mentioned that you worked in film and television, and one thing that brought us together is the fact that we love the power of storytelling, which is another creative tool. So what do you think it is about storytelling that makes it such a powerful creative tool for connection and influence and just general well-being?
Yes, I know. As soon as we connected and I saw the title of this podcast, I knew we had to have a great conversation because I love storytelling as a storyteller and also as a consumer of stories. I love how storytelling can affect change. So, a lot of the projects that I write and direct, all of them actually, are centered around stories that are about the social issues of our time. So, stories around equity, equality, stories around self love, self worth, self realization. And I believe that through storytelling, you can really impact people, reach people, affect people. You can provoke thought in people. You can challenge people, challenge beliefs. You can spark very interesting conversations. So storytelling, which is a very, very old medium, back to the Stone Ages, pre-social media, pre-television, pre-radio, pre all of it, was the way that things were communicated. And it was the way that in ancient times, people learned about how to survive, how to evolve, where to go, where not to go. And I feel like that still applies today if used effectively. But I really believe that storytelling is such a powerful tool. And I tie storytelling back to creativity when I talk about creativity being transformative. That's exactly what I mean, like using the medium of storytelling to affect lives and to transform and to hopefully make a positive impact in the world is what I'm extremely passionate about.
And you talk about the different types of creativity. What examples, because storytelling is just one example, but what other examples shall we share with the audience?
Absolutely. Such a great question. So, yes, storytelling is a very, very incredible form of creativity via writing, if you will, putting pen to pad. A sort of departure, slight departure from that, which I feel everyone can tap into. Maybe you're not a writer, let's say, but everyone can journal. And
Mm.
I feel like journaling, it taps into that side of your brain, that creative side of your brain, and allows you to reimagine things. So let's say you're struggling with something, you're in a very uninspired space, or you're in a very challenging time in your life. Journaling allows you to release the emotions that might be bubbling up inside of you, and we need to be able to get those things out of us. And also, journaling allows you to visualize, like let's say, which is another form of creativity, visualization. So, say you're trying to move from A to Z, you're trying to change something in your life, and you may not know how or where or when or what, right? So, you're trying to figure out sort of the path forward for yourself. Visualizing is a very good creative tool because it allows you to remove yourself from your current situation and sort of just imagine what's possible. And I would encourage people, if you are visualizing, don't limit yourself. And you can journal this. You can visualize and journal at the same time and ask yourself, what would I want my life to look like? If there were no limiting factors, if this wasn't happening or if that wasn't happening, and allow yourself to really reimagine and imagine what that might look for you. Because once you can actually see something, then you can start making steps towards achieving that thing.
And I suppose the key here is when you're in that visionary phase is to think big. And sometimes that may be thinking bigger than your personal understanding, for example.
I agree with that completely, Debbie. I think sometimes you have to reimagine or imagine things beyond your current circumstances, beyond your past circumstances, beyond your environmental circumstances, beyond the people that are in your life that may be telling you you can or cannot do certain things. When you are using creativity in a visual way, like visualization, as we're speaking of right now, you want to think big, like you were saying, Debbie. You want to think out of the box because what's the point of visualizing the things that are already existing in your life? They're already existing. So now is the time to really dream big and not things like, oh, I want to win the lottery. That's great, right? But things that you can actually make steps towards every single day. Let's say in the next 5 years or in the next year. These are the things that I want to imagine for my life. And then journaling, okay, what are the daily steps, the weekly steps, and the monthly steps that I can take to achieve that dream?
So let's talk about overcoming creative blocks because even the most creative minds face moments of doubt or stagnation, particularly when you're journaling. You may doubt your journey, for example. So, how do you personally navigate creative blocks and what advice would you give to others struggling to stay creative?
Yes, creative blocks are real. Writer's block is real. I personally experience it myself. I write for film and television, and there are times where I just can't do it. I just am blocked, or I'm not inspired, or I'm not in the flow that often people talk about. I say for myself, I'll speak from my own personal experience in this. It's about two things. Two things work for me, and you might want to try both. You can either just sit in front of the page or in front of the screen if you're writing on technology and just give yourself 30 minutes or an hour. And maybe something creative will come to you during that time. Maybe it won't, but just allow the space. Oftentimes, when I do that, something will come. It'll come and then it'll snowball slowly And then I'll start to trickle, ideas will come. And then before you know it, I'm full on writing. The other thing that I do is I don't force myself to be creative. I give myself the grace and the time and the space needed to come to the work or the creativity or the journaling in your case, whatever it may be, when it feels organic and it feels right. Oftentimes, I may put myself in a very creative environment, which for me is nature is very creative for me. If I'm amongst trees or if I'm at the ocean, I get inspired in those environments. So maybe it's about finding something that inspires you creatively and then inserting yourself into that environment, that space. Maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's watching an incredibly inspiring documentary, whatever it may be for you. Give yourself that. So then you can sort of fill your cup with inspiration, sort of move through whatever may be blocking you, and then come back to the creativity on the other side of it.
So I want to ask you, because that's great and wonderful advice. And some people may be saying, oh, yeah, it's all right for her because she comes from a creative background. But what has inspired your own creative journey and how has that developed over time?
Yes, I know it's always greener on the other side, right? We always think that, well, it's so easy for you, but really it's not. It's not always easy for me. And I really want to highlight that because we always like see the highlights of someone's life, particularly on social media platforms, etc. And we never really see the struggle that someone may experience because we tend to not show those sides of ourselves. So I want to say, first and foremost, it's not always easy, even for me, even as a creative, it's not always easy. And if you don't consider yourself a creative, I actually feel like you have a little bit of a leg up. And I'll explain why. When you consider yourself a writer, for example, like I'm a writer, I put all this additional pressure on myself to write. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm a writer, I should be writing all the time. And if you don't consider yourself a creative, there's no pressure, right? You don't have to deliver a script for a deadline. You don't have to show up and perform for XYZ. You literally can create in the comfort of your own imagination, in your own time, in your own space. There's no deadline, there's no pressure. No one's looking at you to produce X, Y, or Z thing. And so just let yourself play a little bit. Like, remember when you were a child? Like, children are such a beautiful example of creativity. They just, run around and pretend and put costumes on and do little skits and do just have fun with it. And I think as we grow older, we lose that side of ourselves that is innate in all of us. We all have that in us. And
Mm.
adulting or growing older, unfortunately, sort of whips it out of us. Like, you don't have time to play, you don't have time to enjoy, which is so untrue. So give yourself space and time to have fun, to play, to be creative, to contemplate, to reflect, whatever it is for you in that creative journey. And know that maybe sometimes you'll be feeling it and maybe sometimes you won't. But either way, it's okay because there's always tomorrow and the next day. And if today you're not feeling creative, just put it down and then maybe revisit it tomorrow.
I think that's really wonderful advice because we do often forget those moments where we enjoyed being creative, be it storytelling or just making various forms of art, for example. And we do lose that as we grow older. I mean, as an audience member, and they're probably listening to this and they're feeling inspired, what is the first step?
I would say the first step is always to pause, to give yourself a moment to reflect and to think about what am I trying to actually achieve or what is missing? What is the void that I'm feeling right now? and get very clear about that. And then I think once you're clear about what may be bothering you, let's just say, or what may be challenging you, let's say, or what may be sort of the thing that you want to break free of, or the thing that you want to move towards, let's just say. Once you give yourself a moment to really stop and think and contemplate what that is, because I feel like in life we're so on autopilot or we're in go 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 mode and we don't ever have time to just stop and think. I meditate a lot, and meditation is also one of those things that oftentimes people find very challenging. I've like stripped it down to its very, very basic form, and I just allow myself to sit and be. And all of us are capable of sitting and being still, turning off our devices, going into a quiet space, and allowing our minds and our hearts and our souls to actually hear what is around us and what is inside of us and what is trying to come up.
Shani, what impact do you want your creativity to have on the world?
I aspire and dream and work very hard towards creating art that makes an impact in the world. And what I mean by that is art that actually affects the minds and souls of the planet, of humanity, of individuals, that ideally educates, informs, um, also creates conversation that maybe we don't all agree on any particular idea, but at least we can come together and unite and have a conversation around a particular thing. So my work is very intentional in that way. It's very meaningful in that way. And I really hope that it allows us to re-see things, reimagine things, rethink things, and evolve ultimately as human beings and evolve collectively around the world.
Shani, thank you so much for sharing your story. And thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
Debbie, thank you. The moment we connected, I knew that this was such a beautiful conversation to have. And I'm very honored and grateful to be on the show. So thank you for having me.
If you would like further details about Shani, then please follow the links in the show notes.